Page 22, Bill Grogan's Goat. I look the piece over, I see it's about 1.5 pages long or so. Treble and bass clef signs still, one sharp in the key signature, we're in the key of G major. All the F's are going to be sharped automatically. 4/4 signature, and I glance through it, I see a bunch of quarter notes, whole notes. I see some sharp signs occasionally, and there's pedal used. I'm going to take one hand at a time because the hands are playing it together more or less. Right hand, you're starting here. That puts the hand here. Remember, the F sharp's part of the key signature. It's in the key signature, so it's in the hand position. And it's 1, 2, 3, rest. So much for that. Now the second line, notice the measure at the end of the first line has one beat in it. They split the measure. I don't like the way they've done this, but they've done it. So on the second line, that's beat 2. So it's 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. It's the same rhythm throughout. It's just different notes. Left hand, we got thumb up here. That puts you in this position. And we got C sharps there. 1, 2. Remember the sharp sign? That's good for the rest of the measures. So both of those C's are sharped. And then the second line, and during the rest, I want you to come down 1, come down to here. So you're in this position. I was here, now I'm here. So the second line, 2, 3, 4, 1. And a G and a B together. Next time it's a G and a C together. 1, 2, 4, 1. And then top page 23, second measure, it's an A and a C. 1. So just doing that, it's the same rhythm throughout. You get down to the last line, the third measure is 1, you have to come back up. That's okay, you reach up. 1, 2, 3, rest. That's a C natural there in the next to the last measure because there's no sharp sign. The sharp sign in the other measure is only good for that measure. So this is C. And that's a bit of a trick here. At the end, in the left hand, go from the A to the GB. Connect them. These are awkward fingers. I use weight to push the notes down. So the weight is doing it. I'm just switching up which finger I want the weight on. So right now the weight's on this one, and I get these ready, and when I'm ready, I'm going to lower the weight again, and I'm going to switch the fingers. So the weight's pushing this down. Now if you find that one note's always going down first, something like that, whatever, then focus on the other note, the late note. Think about that one and let the other note just whatever. That usually fixes it, and then they start going down together. Don't lift up. Please, we got to learn to connect this. Then we put the hands together. We're here to start with, sort of a both on D. 1, 2, 3, rest. 2, 3, rest. Now. See, it's a steady beat. So at the end of the first line, that's beat 1, and second line, that's beat 2. Steady beat. Hold that down. Once you have the notes, rhythms working out, and go back, get rid of the hesitations. And once I have all the hesitations worked out, then I'll think about the articulation. And we have slurs and staccatos. We're going to connect this, that, but second line we have staccato, hits at the wrist here. I don't agree with the slurring. I would prefer to just kind of follow the words. At the end of the first line here, there, you lift it like taking a breath. But here, that second line, I'd connect that whole line together. So if you read the words, it's all one sentence. There's no break in that. Now you can lift up there's a comma there after fine, and so at the top of page 23, now you can lift up like taking a breath. Then connect this. They do tell you to connect this. Well, that's what I think they should have done on the the second line on page 22. The curved line should have gone over the whole line. Yeah. Lift up. Now on the second line on page 23, they have a comma after shirt. If you want, you can lift up there, or you can connect it. That's interpreting. Yeah. So put in the phrasing, the slurs, the staccatos, and then I think about the dynamics. F at the beginning is forte, is loud, not super loud, just loud. And then the second line, come down a little bit to sort of loud. These need to be soft. And you're staying that way all the way through to the last line. The last few measures, you go back up to loud like you were at the beginning. Yeah. You see the first line here on page 22 is sort of like an introduction. It just sort of sets the mood. It sets the harmony, the speed, gets things, you just kind of get an idea what's coming. The song actually starts where the words are. The second line, that's where the song starts. So at the bottom of page 23, that last line, starting with second measure, that's like a coda. It's like an introduction, except it's at the end of the piece. It's an afterthought. The song ended on the next to the last line at the end on squirt. And that's tied to the next line. That's the last note in the song. And then this is a coda, and there's no melody here. There could be, but there isn't in here, so it's all the same loudness. Now once I have that, I think about the speed. And this is just want the quarter notes to go too fast, but you don't want these whole notes to last forever. So it's somewhere in the middle. Now they've added pedal. You don't need pedal on this piece at all. You can do just fine. The pedal is going to cover up the staccatos because it's going to cover up the staccatos. Why are we pedaling? If you're going to pedal, understand why it's happening. What's it there for? Don't do it just because the music says to. Most pedaling and most music, including this, is only suggestions. As I said, you don't need pedal at all. But if I'm going to use pedal, why is it being used? And one of the reasons we use pedal is on longer held notes. These whole notes tied to a quarter note, that's 5 counts. We will use the pedal on those to add the overtones to give them a little bit of color, because otherwise they just sit there and die away. But if you can add color, that adds a little more to it, a little more flavor to it. And we do that a lot on piano. We will color the longer held notes. Here it's not so bad because the left hand's doing something. It'll keep you entertained. It's not like you're just playing here and you're just sitting there and waiting, because that would be boring. Yeah, you'd want pedal for that. Color and give it some but when the left hand's doing something, you don't need pedal. That's why I say you don't need pedal on this piece. However they're using it, if you're just dying to use a pedal, this is the way I suggest it. In the second line there on page 22, when I use the pedal there in the second measure, I'm going to push the note down first and then the pedal. I want to start the sound before I release the overtones. Here. And if you're going to connect it to the next, if you're going to connect that, you release the pedal right after you play the G. It overlaps a little bit. If you want silence in there, like taking a breath, then you have to lift the pedal with the right hand. So you hear a little bit of silence. Listen very carefully. Now in this left hand, you can't hear the staccatos anymore, but you continue to play them. Play them staccato whether you hear it or not. If the technique and the feeling is what you're after. You get that, and that's basically the pedal. don't agree with the pedaling there on page 23, third line down at the last measure here. They didn't pedal that. And the reason they didn't pedal it is because you changed harmony. And we don't want to mix the harmonies. We don't want to mix this and this. We end up with that. We end up with that. Ugh. And so to avoid that, they didn't pedal it. So could have pedaled the dotted half note. There is a pedaling technique we can use sometime, but I'm not going to bother here. In my opinion, you're better off leaving pedal out of the whole thing. You don't need pedal anywhere. Let's play this together very slowly and check the notes and the rhythms. I'm not going to do the dynamics, and I'm not going to do the pedaling because you can hear the better, and I want you to hear the staccatos. So I'll give us 4 counts. 1, 2, ready, go. Rest, 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 2, 3, 4,